Canelo Alvarez made light work of his mandatory challenger Avni Yildirim, stopping him in the third round. Did Yildirim quit, or did his trainer Yoel Diaz pull him out? Because Diaz in the corner told him, I'm going to give you one more round, and if you don't show me anything, I'm going to stop the fight. Seconds later, the fight was stopped. So I'm not sure what happened there. It was a bit disappointing because we all prefer to see conclusive endings to fights. With that being said, Avni Yildirim was completely overmatched. Now again, he's mandatory challenger, so he deserved his shot. But what I mean by that is, normally in a world championship fight, the favorite will not be better than the underdog in every single department. But in the case of Canelo versus Yildirim, Yildirim didn't even have one advantage over Canelo. At least not one that would be of any use to him, because Canelo is a bit shorter than Yildirim, doesn't have quite as long arms, but Yildirim doesn't fight long. He fights up close. He's a pressure fighter. So that pretty much cancels out any extra height and reach he has. And therefore, there was nothing for him to have over Canelo. Canelo is a better boxer, better on the front foot, better on the back foot, better puncher, better chin, faster, better punch variety, more experienced, just better in every single way than Avni Yildirim. And Yildirim knew that. When he was in the ring, you could tell that he just looked overwhelmed. Even before he got into the ring, he looked overwhelmed. And once he started taking those big body shots from Canelo and the uppercuts, he himself knew this was only going one way. What do you do in a situation like that? When your opponent is better than you in every single department, you don't even have the experience on him, nothing. Faster than you, more powerful, better boxer, more versatile, better punch variety, better chin. I mean, so when you look at it like that, can we be too harsh on Yildirim if he did quit? Because he was taking a beating, he had been down in the third round. What was he really going to do? Leading into the fight, he was talking about how Canelo had never fought a Turkish warrior. Well, Yildirim would have needed to summon the spirit of the entire Ottoman Empire to have beaten Canelo that night. I mean, the odds for the fight were huge in Canelo's favor. In fact, they were so huge, I started thinking, maybe I should take a leaf out of Dwyer's book and just take a punt on Yildirim. Just for the sake of it, you know? Because as a veteran boxing fan, I've seen so many shocking upsets that just totally caught me off guard and came out of the blue. And when you look back at them, you think, oh man, the odds were so crazy. Even though I didn't think the guy had any chance, I should have put some money down just in case. You know, like, why not? You're not going to miss £5 or £10 here and there. I nearly did that with Yildirim. I was thinking, these odds are crazy. I feel tempted. But thankfully, that didn't happen. I kept my £10 because, you know, you look at Tyson Douglas. Again, I'm going to reiterate what I just said earlier. Douglas had certain advantages over Tyson, even though Douglas was a 42-1 outsider. And most bookies weren't even taking bets for the Tyson Douglas fight because it was just seen as such a massive mismatch. There was no point in even taking bets. They weren't even offering odds, a lot of bookies. But when you analyze the fighters, Buster Douglas did have certain advantages over Tyson. He had a better jab than Tyson, was a better long-range boxer than Tyson, had better lateral movement, could box on the move, which is something Tyson obviously couldn't do. Now, obviously, Douglas had plenty of flaws, and he'd been defeated several times in his career. I think he'd been stopped, was it 3 or 4 times? I think 4 times prior to the Tyson fight. So, yeah, there was very little reason to suggest that Douglas could win the fight, but he did have certain advantages at least. Whereas with Avni Yildirim, he didn't have one advantage. There was literally nothing he could do that was better than what Canelo could do. So can we blame the guy for calling it quits? I mean, if he had extraordinary heart, like the kind of heart that Arturo Gatti had or something, then maybe he could have gone on a few more rounds and, you know, forced the issue and tried to wear Canelo down just by sheer willpower, like getting Canelo to hurt his hand on an elbow, or, you know, maybe some freak accident happens, Canelo slips over, on a wet spot on the canvas, and Yildirim lands a punch at the same time, and Canelo's not really hurt, but he's broken his ankle and can't continue. You know them ones? Sometimes when a fighter shows extraordinary heart and goes above and beyond despite all the odds being against him, then yeah, in situations like that, once in a blue moon, maybe once in a generation, you can see a totally freak upset happening. But Yildirim didn't like the odds of anything like that occurring for himself. So he decided, you know what? It's best to live to fight another day. And of course, Yildirim was knocked out badly by Chris Eubank Jr. That wasn't that many fights ago, was it? I know it was a long time ago, but I don't think Yildirim has had loads of fights since the Eubank Jr. loss. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the trauma of that defeat, because that was a devastating defeat to Eubank Jr., must still live in his mind. See, I keep talking about the psychology of fighters. It's not so easy to get over that kind of humiliating defeat. It's not like it happened in the gym where nobody was watching. It happened in front of thousands of people. You understand? And it also happened for Yildirim in front of thousands of Turkish fans. Didn't that fight happen in Germany? The Eubank Yildirim fight? So there was loads of Turkish fans there, and he got absolutely annihilated in front of his fans. That's doubly humiliating. Even more difficult to deal with that, mental scar. So Yildirim went out, it seems, quite meekly. As I say, he took his punishment in the 3 rounds he was in there. He got dropped in the 3rd. And that actually brings me on to Eubank Jr. because I was chatting in a Discord. We were having a good laugh and banter and stuff like that in my Discord server. And we were talking about how Eubank Jr. must be praying that Yildirim lasts longer against Canelo than he lasted against him, because Eubank knocked Yildirim out in the 3rd round, whereas against Canelo, Yildirim actually went past, he got to the end of the 3rd round, right? Retired before the 4th started. And no sooner had I said that somebody posted screenshots of Chris Eubank tweets. I knew it. I knew that Eubank wouldn't be able to help himself doing this. But before the fight had started, he posted a tweet saying, if Canelo's supposed to be the pound for pound number 1, he should knock Yildirim out in 1 round. This is a guy I knocked out 2 years ago in 3 rounds. He should knock Yildirim out in 1 round if he's that good. Come on. That's a silly thing to say. A very silly thing to say. It's a way of Eubank, again, trying to set the bar so high in terms of what Canelo has to prove in terms of the result to show that he's head and shoulders above Eubank. It's ridiculous. What if Yildirim had come out and ran around the ring? He obviously didn't, but I'm just giving you an example. To put that cap on it and say, he has to get rid of Yildirim in 1 round or he's not as good as everybody says he is. This is absurd. So anyway, Eubank said that, and I think after the fight, or after Yildirim had lasted into to the end of the 3rd round, Eubank put like the face palm emoji up and tweeted that he just couldn't help himself, Eubank Jr. I personally think the Eubank pantomime villain act is hilarious. I've always found it entertaining. I liked it when his dad was boxing back in the 90s. I always found it to be totally hilarious. It rubs a lot of people up the wrong way, but to me, that just makes it even more funny. They're pantomime villains. That's all they are. It's all part of the entertainment. It's all part of the show. I don't take it too seriously. It's, as I say, it's just entertainment. So yeah, Eubank's going to be angling for that Canelo fight even more now, saying, look, I've got rid of Yildirim 30 seconds faster than Canelo did. That means that I'm in the running for a fight against him. He didn't get a result any better than I did. So why are you guys putting him in the next category? Expect more of that from Eubank, but really he would have hoped that Yildirim would have gone at least 4, 5, 6 rounds against Canelo. Ultimately, it ended in, just after the 3rd. So there you have it. Canelo marches on to Billy Joe Saunders. And we hope that Billy Joe Saunders can put up some decent resistance, just because we like seeing competitive fights. It's not really for me about trying to see Canelo get beat or anything like that. He's a great fighter, and I just want to see him in great fights. So hopefully Billy Joe Saunders can actually come to the table, train hard, be, motivated, fired up, and go in there and box the best possible fight that he can. Using all that movement, using all that slickness, the boxing brain. And again, I reiterate, heart. Billy Joe Saunders is going to need to have a lot of heart to even come close to winning this fight, because Canelo Alvarez is such a complete fighter at this stage. You're not going to get through a fight with him without taking some damage. You're not going to get through a fight with him without being frustrated to some degree, because he has such a good defense and it's so difficult to land clean shots on him. So it's going to take a lot of heart and a lot of will, as well as the skill, the movement, the slickness of Billy Joe to get the job done. So let's hope that he can actually test Canelo. If he doesn't manage to do that, then you obviously got to look to the likes of Benavidez and Caleb Plant to do the job and get in there and give this guy a proper test and actually see him in a real fight, a good fight, competitive fight. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is Billy Joe Saunders the man to do that? Is Benavidez or Caleb Plant? Are they the guys to do that? Or, wild card, is Chris Eubank Jr. the guy to do that? Personally, at this stage right now, the way Canelo is fighting at the moment, I wouldn't give Eubank Jr. much of a chance. I'll give Eubank Jr. more of a chance against Golovkin, actually, at this stage, because he's older, didn't look good at all against Derevyanchenko. I'm not saying I would necessarily pick Eubank, but I'd give him a better chance against Golovkin than Canelo. Canelo is just a more skillful fighter than Golovkin, and far more skillful than Eubank. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about that below. And where you think Canelo goes from here. Who can actually beat this man? Who can challenge this man? 168 pounds might be his best weight. Or was it 160? I don't know, one of the two. Certainly wasn't 154, because he was just so big at that weight for so long. Making 154 was just draining him. This is one fight where, going back to Canelo Yildirim, this is one fight where pretty much 100% of people got the prediction right. I don't think there was anybody who I saw in any comment section anywhere that picked Avni Yildirim to win. Was there any people in Turkey picking Avni Yildirim to win? I mean, I know he's quite popular over there, but still, it was pretty one-sided, very one-sided. And it turned out to, I'm talking about the perception going into the fight, and it turned out to be exactly as one-sided as most people expected. I think in my Yildirim Canelo video, what did I say? Canelo in 5 or 6 rounds, I think I said. I can't remember what it was. Ryan Garcia, actually, who was on the DAZN broadcast, he predicted it to the round. He said 3 rounds and Canelo would get him out of there. So big up Ryan Garcia for getting it bang on the money in terms of the number of rounds it would go. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below.